Hello everyone, this is Maritime Academy YouTube channel, and as you know, in this videos we are talking about regulations of MARPOL Convention. In this video, as I told you in previous video, we are going to talk about Regulation 28 of Annex I of MARPOL Convention, which is about subdivision and damage stability. And it says that all oil tankers which are delivered after 31st December 1979 with gross tonnage of 150 tons and more, they shall comply with the subdivision and damage stability criteria which are mentioned in paragraph 3 of this regulation, Regulation 28. After assumed damage, side and bottom damage, which is specified in the paragraph 2 of this regulation. So it means that these vessels, they shall comply with the damage and stability criteria which is mentioned in paragraph 3 of this regulation after considering the damages, side damage and bottom damages, which are specified in paragraph 2 of this regulation. So it means that after talking about the first paragraph of this regulation, we will talk about another two paragraph 2 of this regulation, which is giving the specified damage and stability dimensions. And again we will talk about paragraph 3, which is mentioning the subdivision and damage stability criteria. So also remember this damage and subdivision criteria, which is mentioned in regulation in part 3 of this regulation, they are all considering that this damage is happened in the length of the ship, any place in the length of the ship, and it's telling that in any conveysable location within the length of the ship. Conveysable means possible. This damage shall be happened in any place in the length of the ship for the tankers of more than 225 meter length. But for the tankers which they are between 150 meter length, 150, till 225 meter length, it says that this damage shall be happened in the length of the ship, but forward of the bulkhead of the machinery spaces in the aft. Usually it is in the aft. So these damages shall be happened in the length of the ships of oil tankers of 150 meter length till 225 meter length, but forward of the machinery spaces. And it says that for the oil tankers of less than 150 meter length, these damages shall be happened between the adjacent transverse bulkheads, but also from the front of the machinery spaces, not in the machinery spaces. This was all the first paragraph of this regulation. So now let's talk about this side and bottom damages dimensions as per the part 2 of this regulation. After that we will go and talk about part 3, which is giving the damage, subdivision and damage stability criteria. Also, we will have a look to the text of the convention. Maybe I will give you a little bit more details by reading the text of the convention together. Thank you. In paragraph 2 of this regulation, Regulation 28 of Annex I, which was, as I told you, it's talking about subdivision and damage stability. It's giving us the assumptions for the extent and character of the damages, side damage and bottom damages. And it's telling that in the case of the side damage, the longitudinal extent of the damage shall be around 14.5 meter. The transverse extent of the damage in case of the side damage shall be around 11.5 meter. And the vertical extent of the damage in case of the side damage no have any limit, and it can be anywhere from the bottom shell plating, molded line of the bottom shell plating in the center of the ship upwards. It can be anywhere in this part. And regarding the bottom, it was about the side damage. And regarding the bottom damage, also giving the assumptions like this, and it's telling that the longitudinal extent of the damage in case of the bottom damage shall be same as side damage, means around 14.5 meter. Transfer extent shall be around 10 meter, and the vertical extent of the damage in case of the bottom damage shall be around 6 meter. Why I am telling the around, why I'm using this word, why I'm telling around is around that? Because when we go to the text of the convention, I will show you that there is some other parameters also. For example, it's telling that, as an example, just now I want to tell you that, for example, in case of the side damage, the transverse, as I told you, the transverse extent of the damage shall be around 11.5 meter. But it's telling, but the actual story is this. It says that it shall be breadth divided by 5 or 11.5 meter, which one is less. So it is the exact, that's why I'm telling around. So it shall be b/5, better I tell like that, b/5, that is more correct. It shall be b/5, b means breadth, or 11.5 meter, which one is less. So, but in the text of the convention, I will show you the more exact figures. But remember, for the side damage, 14.5, 11.5, and no limit for the vertical. And in the case of the bottom damage, it is 14.5, 10 meter, and 6 meter. Okay, now before going to the text of the convention, I finish about the paragraph 3 of this regulation also, which is talking about the criteria of the subdivision and damage stability. Then we will go to the text of convention at the end. So let's talk about paragraph 3 of this regulation. In paragraph 3 of regulation 28, we are talking about 5 requirements, and we are telling that for fulfilling with the requirements of damage stability criteria, which already we talked about them in regulation 27, which I will keep the link here, you can have a look. For fulfilling with these criteria, any oil tanker shall comply with these requirements. There are 5 requirements in this part of regulation 28. Actually, I can tell you there are 5 subparagraphs in paragraph 3 of regulation 28. And what are these requirements? The first one, it's telling that at the final stage of the flooding, the water line which you are considering for calculation of the sinkage, trim, and stability criteria, this water line in any case shall be lower than the lower edge of any opening in the ship which flooding can be happen through that opening. I tried to make it easy like that. So, in the final stage of the flooding, the water line which you are considering for calculation of damage stability criteria and etc., this water line in any case shall be below the lower edge of any opening in the ship which flooding can be happen through that opening. This was the first requirement. The second requirement says also, at the final stage of the flooding, the angle of the heel shall not exceed more than 25 degrees. But anyway, it's telling that it can increase to 30 degrees provided that the deck edge immersion is not happening anywhere in the deck side. So it was also the second criteria. The third criteria says, again, at the final stage of the flooding, when we are calculating the stability at the final stage of the flooding, the residual GZ, the residual writing lever at 20 degree shall not be more than 0.1 meter. Please again have a look to regulation 27. This was also the third criteria. The fourth requirement says the administration shall make sure that there is sufficient stability at the intermediate stage of the flooding. This is a very important requirement because this is the exact time that usually the vessel staff trying to escape from the ship, trying to use the lifeboat, trying to abandon the ship. So this is a very critical moment. That's why the administration shall make sure by double checking the damage stability booklet, using the recognized authority, usually classification society. That's why for this type of checkings, the administration shall make sure that at this critical moment, means intermediate intermediate stage of flooding, there is enough there is enough stability. And the last requirement says, it is very important requirement. I can tell you this is the answer of many questions. Let me tell you like that. It's telling that for the correction of the hill, in case of this flooding which has happened, for the correction of the hill, you shall not use your leveling systems, leveling valves. As you know very well, in every tanker, between a slope port and starboard, between wing tanks, there are many leveling systems, and sometimes we are using during the cargo operation also even. If any shifting happens, something happens, just we are opening these two valves and leveling the cargo. Also, we have the same leveling pipe in the slopes. So, and more things we have. Even we can take ballast in other side. It's telling that you cannot use from this type of techniques. You cannot use this type of mechanism for correcting the heel. Why it's telling like that? Because at this stage, the most important thing is to increase the GM, not correcting the heel. Okay, I have 25 degree heel to starboard. I have 25 degree less to starboard due to the flooding which has happened on board. So what is the correct action? Oh, let's take the ballast in other side. Let's do the flooding system, leveling system. Take the water from here to other tank in the port side. Or take the water in the other side ballast tanks and correct the heel. No, this is wrong action you are doing as per this part of regulation 28, and it's telling that you can never use this type of things for correcting the heel. So in this moment, usually what should we do? In the same side, in the bottom side, we are taking the water. We are trying to make bottom heavy in the same side. Even maybe your heel will increase little more also. If you have 10 degree heel, maybe it will be 15 degree. But that is not the matter. We should not care about that in this stage. In this stage, we shall think about increasing the GM. That's why in the same side, which we have heel, we will take water in the bottom, and we will make bottom heavy. We will increase the heel, and we are increasing the stability. We are increasing the GM. So this was also very, very important. Believe me, hours and hours we can talk about this part of regulation 28. This is answer of many questions. Okay, that is finished for regulation 28. Just let's together have a look to text of the convention and read it together, maybe around 5 minutes or less. And there is something that I shall tell you also on the text of the convention. Let's go to text of the convention. Okay, let's talk about Regulation 28 as per the text of the convention. Okay, Regulation 28, as I told you, it is about subdivision and damage stability for the oil tankers delivered after 31 December 1979, GT more than 150 gross tonnage. They shall comply with the subdivision and damage stability criteria as specified in paragraph 3 after the assumed side or bottom damage as specified in paragraph 2. And this damage where should be happen? In oil tankers of more than 225 meter length, anywhere in the ship length, in tankers of between 150 meter length till 225 meter length, anywhere in the ship's length except involving either after or forward bulkhead boundary the machinery space located aft. It means that forward of the machinery spaces. And let's see here. And for the oil tankers less than 150 meter length, also anywhere in the ship's length, between adjacent transverse bulkheads, with exceptions of machinery spaces. Okay, let's come down. This is the more important part. Okay. As I told you in the paragraph 2, just we have some assumptions for the character and extent of this damage. As you can read here, the following provisions regarding the extent and the character of the assumed damage shall apply as follows: for the side damage and for the bottom damage. For each of them, we have 3 dimensions: longitudinal extent, transfer extent, and vertical extent. Regarding the side damage, longitudinal extent will be 1/3 multiplied by length of the ship to the power of 2/3 or 14.5 meter, whichever is less. Transfer extent, b/5 means breadth divided by 5 or 11.5 meter, whichever is less. Vertical extent, as I told you, no have any limit, and from the molted line of the bottom shell plating at the central line upwards without limit. Okay, and about the regarding the bottom damage also, again we have three dimensions: longitudinal, transverse, and vertical. Regarding longitudinal, it's same as you can see, same as longitudinal extent in side damage. So you will see that the longitudinal extent in bottom damage also is same. 1/3 multiplied by length to the power of 2/3 or 14.5, whichever is less. So let's go to the next page. Okay, here. Okay, then you can see a little bit better. We were talking about the bottom damage. Bottom damage in transfer extent of the bottom damage, b/6 means b divided breadth divided by 6 or 10 meter. Vertical extent will be b/15 means b breadth divided by 15 or 6 meter. Okay, whichever is less. All of them, whichever is less. Okay, now let's go to the requirements. As I told you here in paragraph 3 of regulation 28, we have 5 requirements, 1, 2, and another 3 next page, that every vessel shall fulfill with these requirements, okay, for complying with damage stability criteria as we define in regulation 27 and before that regulations. The first requirement is here, and it's telling that the final water line, taking into account the sinkage, hail, and trim, shall be below the lower edge of any opening through which progressive flooding may take place. The second one, the final stage of flooding. In the final stage of the flooding, the angle of hail due to unsymmetrical flooding shall be not exceed 25 degrees, provided that this angle may be increased up to 30 degrees if no deck edge emergence occurs. Okay, let's go to next page. Yes. The third requirement, it's telling that the stability in the final stage of flooding shall be investigated and may be regarded as sufficient if the rising level curve has at least a range of 20 degrees beyond the position of equilibrium in association with a maximum residual rising level of at least 0.1 meter within the 20 degree range. Okay. Please also remember, have a look to regulation 27. And the requirement number 4, it's telling that the administration shall be satisfied that the stability is sufficient during intermediate stage of the flooding. And the last one, it's telling that equalization arrangements requiring mechanical aids such as valves or cross-leveling pipes, if fitted, shall not be considered for the purpose of the reducing an angle of hail or attaining the minimum range of residual stability to meet the requirements of subparagraph 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 of this paragraph. And sufficient residual stability shall be maintained during all stages where equalization is used. Spaces which are linked by ducts of a large cross-sectional area may be considered to be common. So it was also the 5 requirements that we shall fulfill as per this regulation for complying with damage stability criteria. Okay, that is finished with the text of the Convention for Regulation 28. Okay, so we finished with Regulation 28 of Annex I, which it was talking about subdivision and damage stability. In next video, we will talk about Regulation 29, which is about slope tanks. So thank you for watching me again, and good to see you again in next week with new video. Thank you. Bye-bye.